Today on the My Fit Tribe podcast, I am thrilled to welcome my friend Courtney Spaeth to the show. She is one of the most legendary natural bodybuilders of our time, a 33-time pro champion since 2018, a dedicated coach, and 2024 Female Athlete of the Year by Natty News Daily. Courtney also runs Fitness Freedom Gym in Eau Claire, soon expanding to a second location. Her discipline, mindset, and consistency have inspired countless athletes, including myself. And today we're diving into her journey, her approach to competing at the top, and what keeps her pushing forward. Hi, Courtney. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to tell your story because you have impacted me so much along my bodybuilding journey from the first time I resented seeing you on that stage, which we'll get into.
We all did. We all did that day. That's a story.
That's a story, and we'll get into that. But let's talk about who Courtney Spaeth was before you found bodybuilding.
Yeah, so I was average Joe. Didn't really do a whole lot for fitness or health and wellness other than being in the healthcare setting as a physical therapist assistant, director of rehab. And I had blown out my ACL medial lateral meniscus. And so being in the therapy world, I knew how important it was to rebuild my strength and get back on a better journey, especially with being down and not being able to do things because I was immobilized. I was non-weight bearing for 8 weeks. It's like you lose your strength. You lose that controlled body fat. You need to get things back in check per se. And I knew having a goal and being an athlete in high school, I was a gymnast, I was a pole vaulter. This would be a really good option for me getting into bodybuilding to give me that competitive edge, something fun that I knew I would enjoy and get me back on track. And so after I had completed a whole year of rehab and getting back to functioning, I'm like, okay, let's do this thing. Let's learn how to lift. Literally was an athlete who dabbled in the gym every once in a while because I had to because of my sports, but never really kept consistent at it. So I had just kind of dove all in and had a coach that helped mentor me into my first bodybuilding show. And the rest is history. It just was like, okay, I really like this. And no, I'm not great right now, but I'm decent. I won my first show. My first show was an NPC show. And I'm like, okay, let's see where we can go with this. And it's blossomed into a whole new career for me and took us on a new journey between my husband and I that I never thought would be a thing. So
it's so cool for me because I've now known you since 2019 and to see how much that has affected your whole life and to be able to follow your passion in so many different ways. So you first competed in 2018, and I didn't know that was NPC for the first one. So
it was actually 2017 was my very first.
2017. Oh, okay.
Yep, 2018 is when I finally learned that, there's other federations out there. There's natural leagues. Like, why wouldn't I do that? So then 2018 is when I dove into the natural scene and got my natural pro card right away.
Okay. And we'll get into the NPC and the natural side of things too, going into last season, but we'll get to that. See, so much I want to get to. So,
yes.
For our listeners, how I met Courtney, my very first show at age 46 was in 2019, and it was a big show. It was NGA. And for a lot of federations, you have to compete as an amateur first in order to get your pro card, even if you are a pro in other federations. So yes. In this huge class of figure competitors on the stage that day as well was the pro Courtney Spaeth for other federations. But again, she had to compete as an amateur in that. So in my very first show, I'm up against this superstar. And she had just turned 35, and with NGA then she was competing in the Masters, which sometimes it's 40. Yeah. So she was also competing against me in the Masters. So I didn't love her at that moment.
Like, who is this girl? Why did they let her on stage?
She's going to kick my ass.
I tried. I begged and pleaded for them to let me compete as a pro because I had multiple pro wins at that point. I'm like, it does not make sense for me to take a pro card away from a deserving amateur, but it was a show that was local. It fit in my timeline. It lined up with everything that I was doing. And when I had asked and asked and asked, they're like, well, you either compete as an amateur or you just don't get to compete with us. And I was like, well, that was kind of a crappy answer. So I'm going to register for everything that I can. So that's what I did. And
And she
it,
won
it
everything.
set the, and it set a point because
Mhm.
then thereafter their rules changed and they allowed seasoned pros with multiple wins and honor into the pro ranks so that a deserving amateur didn't have to lose to somebody that has already earned their pro card.
Right, which is so important because it's hard to get in that top area and to get that pro card. And when you're competing in multiple federations, it's nice when you can carry that over. I mean, it's just a game changer. So that again is my first exposure to Courtney Spaeth. But from that moment, so that first show and that grand opening of Figure Open, there were I think like 20 competitors
It's a
in that
big
big
class.
class, and I actually took third in my very first show. And so when me being up there with you and seeing how awesome you were, I started to think, wow, if I'm third place and Courtney's first place, maybe I can still keep doing well when I'm not competing against Courtney's face. So I went on my second show to get my pro card, but seeing you up there and your poise and your confidence and being, able to do well enough on my first show to really plant the seed that maybe something awesome is possible with this journey. So you and I have been so inspired by you every step of the way. So what did the bodybuilding journey, that start of it, do for you as an athlete and as a woman?
So, as an athlete, just obviously building that strength and that endurance and being comfortable in the gym, being confident, carrying that out to being confident in everyday life, but then also teaching me that discipline and control. I feel like that is probably the biggest thing that I have learned through this whole journey is it's not just bodybuilding. I think a lot of people look at it as being vain. It's like, yes, we look at ourselves, we analyze to try to fit our division criteria and work on the growth. But what it takes to do that, people just don't understand the depth of commitment that it takes, the resilience that you need, not just resilience to everyday things, but also the people in the background that are maybe trying to take you down. So, really building your inner confidence and self control is carried over into so many areas of my life. And I really don't think that I would be the person that I am today if it wasn't for bodybuilding.
One thing that surprised me from the beginning of my journey is, again, we talk about the vanity assumption with bodybuilding. I kind of thought being around people who are bodybuilders, I thought they would be shallow or not nice, whatever, but they have been the most welcoming community. I keep in touch with people on social media. I see people in person, and everybody, most people, are cheering each other on, especially in the natural federations. But overall, I think as far as when you're working, competing alongside other people, it really brings a good feeling of camaraderie and community.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing how much of you all become family and such close friends. And then you're going on stage being like, I'm gonna take you out at the knee. Like it's just this fun little banter, and but yet you support each other the whole way. And like I just had a gal message me the other day asking about travel. It's like, how do I travel with my food? Like I need to fly for this competition. I've never done that before. So it's like giving people those pointers and hope that like, no, you can actually take your food on the plane. Like a lot of people don't know that or know certain restrictions to be watching for and how you can kind of get around some of them. So and she just sent me a voice message earlier today saying, I was talking to my coach Teddy and saying how like it's just so amazing how much everybody supports and helps each other. And to have that is like not something that you see in a lot of other sports or competitions. So it's really cool.
Or even in everyday life, right? I feel like even
Yeah.
working in an office, sometimes you have, conflicts. And with this, it just people are working so hard in so many ways to reach that goal and pushing themselves that you relate to each other and you're able to push each other in such a positive way. I just think it's been such a beautiful community to be a part of. I'm so grateful.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about where your career went then after you competed in 2019 and you keep getting pro cards. You continued to compete during COVID. A lot of the athletes stopped competing, but you were out there front and center competing in Natural Olympia in 2020 and winning the cycle and, kicking butt out there. What kept you focused during COVID when everything was shut down and other people were kind of, putting their careers on pause?
Yeah, so was fortunate enough to still continue with my career and my everyday life because at that time I was still in healthcare. So I was in our same routine. I didn't lose that. The big kicker was when COVID happened, we were supposed to go on vacation, and so our vacation got canceled. And so we were just like, well, let's take these 2 weeks and put in a gym at home. So I have a local company that makes equipment. We were able to get everything we needed, and we did a whole demo at our house for 2 rooms and combined one big open space. So I was able to still focus and put my time and energy into that, especially when it's like there wasn't anything else going on, right? So it's like I have all this time and energy that I can keep doing what I'm doing and get creative with my workouts to keep on the right track. And that year, I don't think a lot of people knew I had ovarian cyst, very severe ovarian cyst that actually put me in the ER, and I almost had to have surgery. The week of my show prior to the Natural Olympia. So I was put on a lifting restriction, and my doctor told me that I shouldn't compete. And he's like, if you feel this pain again, like you have an ovarian cyst the size of a softball, like you're going to end up with an ovarian torsion and we're going to have to do surgery. So I ended up competing, winning, and still, moved on through that whole process. I just ended up doing cardio only for that week until they got my hormones balanced back out with just a birth control regimen. And then off I was. So just tried to stick to my normal routine and had my mind focused on what I needed to improve and didn't lose track of that.
No, and again, and did so well. Then 2021 came and you competed. You weren't going to compete, I think, originally, right? With 2021, didn't you decide last minute to follow through with that season?
Yeah, I did compete in 2021. And then 2022 was the year that I took off the entire year. And that's when I purchased my gym.
Gotcha. Yes. And I remember we talked. 'Cause so Courtney and I then competed against or with each other in 2021. And then I was able to help at your show up at the Mayhem in 2022 because you just then went on to the promoter side of the show. So how did you decide to get into that aspect of bodybuilding?
Yeah. So having that connection still in off season, it was really important to me to still stay in the loop, stay on top of the things too that I really liked as an athlete and the things that I didn't like about an athlete, and try to fix that within shows to try to create a better environment for what we like to see and experience at a show. So kind of gave me that purpose in the off season, but also that fix, right? There's a lot of shows you go to and you're like, oh, this really wasn't the best experience. And then you end up not going back or just not enjoying your day when it's about you and what you've put into that time to get there. So that year, that 2022 is kind of the shift in that, and having some of the shows that are fairly local to me to be able to dive into that. And then having that opportunity to purchase the gym and change my career path, they all just kind of went hand in hand. So just was the right time and the right space. And with where I was falling with my training clients, and I kind of put things on a hold with that too until I had gotten my own space. And so the rest has just been growing from there.
Right. So the 2022 then was the new gym. And then now you are 9 days away from opening up your second location. How exciting and how much work has that been to, build it from the ground up? And how exciting is it for all of your clients to be able to expand the space and offer a brand new location?
Yeah, it's wild. Like when the signs finally went up on the building, I'm like, okay, this seems a little more real now. It's really happening. And oh yeah, those loans are stacking up, There's there's so much excitement, but fear at the same time because it's like, what if this doesn't grow like you think it is? And but if you don't try, you don't shoot your shot. You just never know. And Tony always says it best with like, I would always bank on myself before anybody else. And we have such a great support system and a ton of people that believe in us. And like you said, the clients that have supported us along the way, and everybody's so excited in the community to have this other option, especially being in a location that just doesn't have anything. And yeah, to grow that from the ground up has been wild. Like I never thought I would build a gym from scratch, and here we are. So
It's so exciting. And yet you take time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. So thank you. I want to jump back a little bit to the 2024 season because that was like like legendary. That's I think what propelled you into just to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So, how many shows did you do last year? And let's talk also about what your decision to compete in NPC.
yes, so gosh, 7 shows last season, 8. There was one weekend that was a double. I had to compete again as an amateur to earn my pro card in that federation to be able to compete in their world championship at the end of the year. So I ended up competing on a Saturday as an amateur, won the pro masters and the open figure, and then competed as the pro masters and open the next day and won both of those as well. But the start of that season, so it was the year prior that I did the NPC again. So 2023. So I'm going to just dial back a sec. The 2023 was when I decided I feel like I have what it takes now to compete and truly compete on a higher level on an NPC stage as a natural athlete. And so I did a local NPC show, won my height class, won the overall, and they grabbed me right away backstage and they're like, you've got to do the national qualifier. They're like, you're nationally qualified, you've got to do it. So that December I did, so it was an extended season because that NPC qualifier for the national show was in June.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yes, so I competed in December at the national show, and it was 2 months before that is when I picked up my coach, Teddy. So all of these seasons prior to that, I had only had one coach. And then for the majority of my competition career, I just coached myself. And so brought him in to really try to help dial things in, do some different things I've never done before, especially peak week protocol, and ended up winning my IFBB Pro card at that NPC show. So the only downfall with NPC with IFBB is you have to sign a contract if you're going to compete IFBB, and you literally have to get rid of all your ties and connections with everything else. So that didn't go any further for me because I'm like, well, I promote shows, I judge shows, I'm competing in either still other natural championships that I want to compete in, hence my season in 2024. So I never implemented my IFBB Pro card. So in 2024, I did a show with the IFBB Elite. So and this is where a lot of athletes have gotten confused and have come after me because they're like, well, you're competing IFBB. Why are you doing X, Y, and Z? You shouldn't be doing those shows. I competed IFBB Elite, which is not NPC IFBB. This is a different natural league. Back in the day, IFBB Elite used to be partnered with NPC and they had split ways. So that's where the confusion lies, is there used to be ties and there isn't anymore. And their symbols, like their logo, is very similar to IFBB. So so the IFBB Elite, that show in August, was the one that qualified me to compete in the World Championship in Tokyo in December of 2024. So that's where I finished my season. I had done the summer shredding in between. I won the qualifier. I won the championship. And then I did the WMBF in Canada. So I did that back to back, did the WNBF Worlds. So yeah, winning all the way through. And then it was the night before my competition in Tokyo that I was announced as the Natty News Daily Female Athlete of the Year. Was that, yeah, that night leading into that championship where I took third in the world. So that was a super honor because just one to represent Team USA. I was the only athlete for Team USA there. And I was the first female athlete for the country to make top five, let alone the podium. So that was a huge, huge honor. And yeah, the experience was it was a little rocky. That was one of those federations that's like, ooh, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like that we would hate as an athlete to have to experience over and over. But the whole week of going there and being, I mean, just representing the country was a true honor.
How amazing. I remember, following you on social media and you would do a show and you'd do amazing. And I'd like, oh, maybe that's done. And then, nope, nope. One more, even bigger, another show, another award, another placing. It just was so cool to watch all that you accomplished last season. It was just phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a long season. So this year taking an off season was much needed. It was my plan to begin with, and then as spring, came along and we were started looking at the plans of adding a second gym, I was like, okay, I really am not competing this year. If we're going to open a second gym, I can't do both. Like they just knew that would just be too much. So
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So when you started coaching your clients then, just before you got your first gym, what have you learned in general about people, maybe about supporting people since you became a coach? Because that's a different hat to wear than being an athlete.
it really is because not everybody has the discipline and drive that you think they would have for wanting to reach goals. Like for me, it's like I said, I've coached myself for many years, and it's like I just knew what I needed to do, and I just did it. And not everybody has that. A very few amount of people have that, and so learning how to like okay, I need to check in on this person. They're not going to just check in with me if they need something, and finding out creative ways to help them work around their schedule to make things happen and really, really, truly laying the whole thing out so that they can figure out how to do what they need to do to reach their goals. Like I said, it's just ingrained in me, like, this is what I got to do, and I do it. Um, but you'd be surprised with how many like truly have spun their wheels for years and years and years. And it's like, okay, well, let's try something different. And it's so hard. It's so hard to get people out of that rut, the doing the things the same way. And it's like, well, how is that working for you right now? So there's such a psychological piece to the whole thing. And it's like sometimes I feel like I'm I'm that uh, what am I looking for? Like a counselor almost.
Yeah.
And but everybody's in a different state, a different place in their journey, a different place in life, different place in their mental state. And so really, yeah, really working through that is probably the biggest learning curve for me to make sure everybody's getting what they need.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think we all come from our own perspective. And in many things in life, it's important to acknowledge that nobody's like you or yourself, and people are different. But that drive and that ambition piece is something that I agree, is rarer than I thought it was. Being from someone who's the same way. I'm a doer, so I need
Yes.
to figure something out. Make it a goal and give me the steps how to do it, and that's all I focus on. What my to-do list is.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yep, I
how,
praise a lot.
oh, I'm sorry. So how else growing wise is now that you have your own gyms and your client base and your coaching, what's next?
Yeah. So, I mean, continuing to grow that, but also growing other people to do what I do. So that has been my big project this last year, not just building the gym, but building our community and our staff. And I wouldn't say just staff, but other businesses. So this was part of our growth and development ourselves, is that we want to grow other people's businesses and other people's careers. So I went from the gym operating solely on myself to now having a group of 7 amazing individuals that have stepped in to help do yoga, do group classes, do other personal training. And then we've also built the space to bring in other, like I said, other businesses. So I have a great massage therapist that he's building his own business. He left his full-time job to do his own thing. A chiropractor that's coming in 4 days a week, same thing. He had moved back home, left a career, and wasn't really sure what he was going to do. And I'm like, we're building this space, and I want to have everything here that focuses on the health and wellness of everybody, having all the services at their fingertips so that one, they get what they need, but also help you grow. And so he's building up his own practice within our community. So yeah, it's been an interesting change going from, okay, I need to do it all. Like, no, I can't do it all. I can't be an expert at everything. And like, how can I help the community grow? And so mentoring other people and building that up has been a big shift.
What have you learned about yourself through that process since you had to make that shift?
I have a hard time letting go of things. It's like you said, I'm a doer, but I also like things done a certain way. And it's hard to cut the umbilical cord. But I have found over the last month, like I am able to do this. I can do this. And it's been really neat to see how I've let down my walls a little bit to be able to expand.
That's great. I think the wellness communities are something that are going to continue to grow as we move forward because the wellness industry, there's so many facets to it, and there's so many parts of your body that need different type of care. And when you think you have it all figured out, something else breaks. And you got to fix
Especially
something
the
else.
older we get, right? It's like, why am I snapping when I get out of
Oh,
bed?
tell
What
me
is
about
that?
it. Tell me about it. Some days are rough. But I think it's really important to acknowledge the fact that having a coach, someone that can help guide you through not only the fitness, but you also do nutrition training and how important nutrition is. And again, providing that motivational and accountability factor. Do you have any success stories or what your favorite part about the nutrition side of coaching?
Yeah. So especially now with a lot of women my age, a little bit older, you find so many that are under eating, they're overworking their bodies and really truly honing in on what they need to get a better balance because less isn't always more and more work isn't always more. And I've had several ladies that was the case, that they were working out 6, 7 days a week. One, she came to me was like, I've been doing hot yoga, I've been doing sculpt classes, and she was going to this yoga space 2, 3 times a day. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at your food. So she's like, I just don't feel good. I don't have energy. And she sent me a long message the other day. I was like, looking over the last couple of months, she's like, I'm down like 15 pounds, 6 inches around my waist, 5 inches around my hips. It's like my energy is better, my skin's clearer. And she's doing lifting 3 days a week and her own yoga stretch 1 day a week and just walking. It's like we've been able to give her that life balance and a sustainable diet plan that's like she just feels so much better. And then I have another lady that came to me. She's menopause, 68 years old, had a failed total knee replacement, had to go back get another knee replacement. She had proteins in her urine. She was put on a GLP-1. She's like, all these things are making me feel like garbage and I can't lose the weight. I keep gaining weight. She was doing aggressive hill climbs, like going outside, putting a 50-pound rucker vest and trying to do this hill climb as fast as she could. And then it would flare up her bad knee. So then she couldn't walk for 3 days.
Oh my.
And so it's like getting her through a protocol to help cleanse her system, get her off. She actually weaned off the GLP-1 and got her doing just a steady, easy walk. I'm like, get rid of the rucker vest. Don't do the hill. We have to focus on your gait pattern, get you walking normally so it's not flaring everything up. And then she was working with a trainer 1 day a week. So I'm like, I want you to do X, Y, and Z with those training sessions 1 day a week. And within 2 months, we had 30 pounds off of her.
Wow.
30
That's
pounds down
phenomenal.
off the GLP-1. It's like she went back. All of her lab work was fantastic. Her and her doctor was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just following this meal plan. And then she'd walk once a day. That's all she'd like. And then her trainer 1 day a week. That was it.
Isn't it phenomenal what a difference what we eat affects how we feel? I mean, so specifically, it is the biggest difference on your health, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And then just the quality of life at that point. It's like she messaged me last week because she had a family wedding. She's like, I was able to dance the whole night at my grandkid's wedding. It's like, okay, what was her quality of life before? She wouldn't have been able to do that. And so having those stories and teaching women like you can do this and it doesn't have to be crazy.
Right. That's
Mhm.
amazing. How rewarding it's been for you for that journey again from hitting that stage the first time now to be helping so many people, not only your clients, but helping grow other professionals in your area. What a cool journey.
Yes, it's been incredible, and I'm so thankful for the women that have stepped in, and I have a few male trainers too, to be able to have that well-rounded community where it's like not everybody wants to come to me because they're like, well, she's a bodybuilder. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. And they're just intimidated. So it's like having every little person that fits what their needs are and their comfortability level. Like it's been huge.
Another thing that I love about you, in addition to your work ethic, is that you always find a way. Like you're determined, but you will pivot very easily. And I think that's a big key to success, again, which I've mentioned before in business or relationships. Your marriage with Tony is, you guys make a great team, again, building this professional journey together. I can attest to how fun it is to work with a spouse. But you failure is not an option and it's not even a consideration. It's just, we'll do what we have to do to make it work. So that's been really fun to watch. Let's talk real quick before we wrap up. How is that? You and Tony now used to have your separate careers and he would travel a lot and now you guys are together on this team. How has that been?
Yeah, it's been wild. So that's been another learning curve is like, okay, we're used to never seeing each other, and now we have to be used to being on top of each other all the time. So, and that's part of our growth too, is learning how to communicate with each other better and learning how to control our temper and our tone. It's been tough, but we're doing great and we're both changing and improving along the way. And to be able to have each other's back, like what I'm not good at, he's great at, and vice versa. And so like to balance that all out, to build what we're building together, um, it's just been really cool to see the change. And initially when I first started this whole thing, it was Force Fitness Saturday when he had to go to the gym with me for that hour and a half, and he'd sit in the chair for the last 45 minutes. So it's been really cool to see him blossom with this whole thing too, where it's like, okay, he wasn't so into it initially, and now he's built this great foundation, muscle mass, structure, and a better healthy life for himself. And then we've built our career and foundation off of it too. So it's been really
Very
cool.
cool. And again, to do what you love is so important. It's hard for many people to find, but to have that passion and to keep being able to grow it is important too, because that satisfies that itch of getting after something.
Exactly. And I used to always say, I'm like, I can't wait till I retire one day. And I never know what day it is. Like, it's going to be great. And now I'm doing my own thing and I never know what day it is. So I'm like, it's when you truly know that you are doing something that you love, when it's like, it doesn't matter that it's a Saturday. Like, I love going into the gym and helping the people that I'm helping and answering people's questions. And just everybody's always excited to be there. And the camaraderie that we get in the gym is just, it's so fun.
That's so cool. That's awesome. So if people want to find you, do you have any coaching spots still open, or are you booked for the next 5 years? I have a waiting list.
Right now, I'm pretty booked up. I have a few like one-on-one training sessions. So I do Zooms for posing if folks can't get to me in person. But a lot of my training packages, I'm pretty maxed out at the moment. But I have several trainers under me. I have one that strictly does just online clients. And then I have 3, 4 others that are in the gym that take on clients as well. But anybody can find me through our website, fitnessfreedomwi.com, or on any of my social media. So at Courtney Spaeth on Instagram, on Facebook, or through our gym page is at Fitness Freedom WI.
Awesome. And we'll put those links in the show notes as well. Before we wrap up this conversation, I want to answer, sorry, I'm going to finish with the question that I ask all my guests, but I want to stop first again and thank you, because you really have, I mean, for me, being able to watch your journey has just inspired me, and the bodybuilding path has changed my life so dramatically, of what I'm doing, how I feel, my confidence, my relationship with others. I mean, it just was one of those pivotal, life-changing events that I'm so grateful for. And again, getting to meet amazing people like you and being so inspired by what you're doing to even have that glimmer of a thought that maybe amazing things are possible. So before I wrap up, I again just want to do a huge thank you. I'm forever grateful for us being able to connect, and being able to compete in your show and to compete alongside you in Vegas was a dream come true. So super grateful.
Thank you.
So my final question, it's a 2-part question. So if you, Courtney, today could have a conversation with Courtney of the past. Now, we talked a little bit about where you started right before the bodybuilding journey, but you can take her, or you can take maybe a different version of you that was even before that. What would you say to your past self?
Ooh, you drank way too much. Oh my gosh. I played league volleyball probably 4 to 5 nights a week. So
That says it
yeah.
all.
Like you wasted way too much money in the bar.
Okay, so now you, Courtney, today can have a conversation with you of the future. You can pick 10, 20, 30 years ahead from now, probably at the gym, hanging out with your future self. What would you ask her, and what do you think your future self would say back to you?
Ooh, what would I ask her? Ooh, that is a really good question. That's a tough question. I would probably ask her, did you have any regrets with competing all the time and giving up certain things in life? That'd be an interesting one to look back at.
And what do you think your future self would say?
I think I would say no, because you wouldn't have any of those opportunities. You wouldn't, if you wouldn't have taken any of those chances or moments, probably wouldn't be where you are today and who you are today.
Yeah. And what a path it's been.
Made me a strong person.
Yeah. What a path it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your conversation. Shout out to you for opening up the gym then. The date again is November 15th?
15th.
Is the grand opening?
Next Saturday.
Awesome. And I'm sure you'll have a great turnout. You're building a great community, and we look forward to seeing all that you accomplish along the way.
Thank you.
Thank you again for the conversation.
You bet.